All right, we'll go to Ryan Aber first.
Yeah, Jenny, thanks for doing this tonight. I guess just starting off, what's your, overall impression of not only the bracket and how it looks for y'all, but that Norman pod and facing, Florida Gulf Coast in the first round, and then potentially a team you're pretty familiar with in the second round.
Yeah. Um, well, one, how about us being last, and how about our men being last today too? So at least you got to watch the entire show. So that was fun for everybody. Um, but honestly, it's March Madness time, and there's literally nothing more exciting than to be able to watch your team respond when you get to see your name up to that, but to be able to watch them and to be able to see just how connected this group is. So to be able to be awarded with a 3 seed, to be able to host at home, now the work starts. You get really excited, and then you see, okay, there's familiarity in our first round opponent and playing the same team a year ago. So, we know we got our work cut out for us, but that's also the NCAA tournament, and that's what you want. So I think there is some benefit in us being able to play against them a year ago so that we understand and we know, and you can prepare a little bit better, because they're a really difficult team to prepare for. And then you don't look ahead. You can have as many storylines as you want throughout the whole bracket, but you just really don't. You just really focus on getting better this week and then being ready for our first game. I didn't even know what day we were playing. Our team had to tell me it was Saturday. So they'll get a much longer week in practice this week.
You just a quick follow-up. You talk about that style and how difficult it is. What did you learn from facing them last year that maybe can help you, here a year later?
Ryan, we'll find out. But no, I think, when you talk about, and especially with the background that I have being at a mid-major, and you have to have a unique style, and you have to have something that differentiates you for getting NCAA tournament berths. And so they have that. They have a coaching change that's a little bit different. So obviously some of their personnel will be different. Some of our personnel is different. So the biggest lessons I think that we're going to learn is we understand, yes, they shoot the 3, but you can say that all you want, and you can prepare all you want until they're really shooting a 3 on every possession, and spacing you out and in a 5-out offense. So that's something that I think they'll understand when we're saying, no, that shot's going to be up. They're going to understand that a little bit more especially from a defensive perspective.
Hey, I really appreciate it, Jenny.
Thank you, Ryan.
Go to Eric Bailey and then George Toya.
Jenny, it's been a long 4 months, and now you're going to get 2 full weeks off between games. How much does that really allow you just to get not only mentally recharged, but also physically recharged for a basketball game?
Well, I don't know if our team is thinking necessarily recharge. Last week was a hard week for them, and we were really intentional about being able to practice really hard. And sometimes you practice harder than actual games are in terms of, what you're doing, how long you're doing it, the pace, the physicality. And so, we had a few days last week where it wasn't, hey, everybody rest up and let's go. It was, we're still a really hungry group. I mean, this team it's a fun team, and you can see that. And you can see we got a little rocked, obviously, against South Carolina, but also it enables you to watch that film, to look in the mirror and to say, okay, we still have to get better. And so our team was really hungry last week, and, they lifted hard. They did a lot in terms of their strength and conditioning off the court. But then they really worked on the floor. So they're excited. We took yesterday off. We had a little kind of active workout today just to kind of get them, moving. But they'll be ready to go tomorrow. So that's been one thing I think that's been so amazing about this group. And part of it is probably, we've talked so much this year about our senior class and how we're so senior led. But our attitudes have been really good in terms of attacking practice. We don't have a lot of complaining. We don't have to really pull teeth in terms of energy. They're really excited to be there, and it's been fun to be able to see that.
I know Iowa, special place for you. Just having them come to Norman, and can you just talk a little bit about what Iowa means to you? And Coach Bluter, she's got to be proud of seeing 2 of her former players, coaches being in one region like this?
Well, I actually have experience of that when I was at Drake. I mean, you played Iowa every year, so you've kind of gotten past that. Oh, that's where I played. It keeps getting longer and longer, so you have a little less, but I think, obviously Lisa was an incredible mentor and an incredible coach, and Jan was her, longtime assistant. She was one of my coaches in college too. So you cheer for her, but we always have the understanding that you cheer every game unless you're playing them. And so it'll be fun to be able to see them. But at the same time, we still got to take care of Florida Gulf Coast first. So we're not going to look ahead at all. The storylines are for you guys. And when you get there, you get there. And that's for, that's kind of part of this. And we understand that, but Florida Gulf Coast is a pretty good storyline.
Go to
Thanks a bunch.
George and then
Appreciate it,
Jesse
Jennie.
Crittenden.
Thank you.
Jennie, since you arrived in Norman, you've talked a lot about growing this fan base, getting fans out to games. Just what's your message to OU fans about the importance of being there and supporting your team, and how much that can help you guys in these type of games?
Well, the last couple years, and obviously last year was different, not being able to host, but it's really important. I mean, it's game changing. Those last couple games that ended our season the last couple years, you feel like could be different if you're at home, right? Because you're playing on the road, they're close games. It comes down to the last couple minutes of the game. And we need to create an environment that wills us to win. I mean, I think our last few games, and we've had some games this season even that have really willed us to win. So we want to pack the place, obviously, to help us win, but it's so much more than that. We want to really grow this sport in this state. I mean, there are so many little girls and boys that just love this game. And what better way than to be able to come to a game? Because you're not going to, a lot of our fans aren't going to get to go to Spokane or Birmingham, or, they're not going to be able to do that. And so, but they can come to the LNC and they can come to Norman. And this time of year when you can go and support your team and we can play for you, that's when the magic happens. But we have got to find any and every possible way to be able to bring our fans here. We need to make sure that this is an incredible environment. There's so much national exposure that's going to come, that has come. This isn't just a glimpse on our program. This is a glimpse on our university and our state.
Thanks, Jennie.
Thank you.
Go to Jesse and then John Hoover and then James Hale.
Hey, Jennie, I just wanted to ask about the way you guys have played the last few weeks. I know that South Carolina game was tough, but I mean, you guys had won 9 straight before that. I know that the common coaches thing is to say you want to play your best in February, March, heading into the tournament. But just how do you feel like you guys have played the last few weeks? And do you feel like you guys have kind of found a stride heading into the tournament?
I do. I feel like the connection of our team has been really incredible. I like the balance of our team. I like that, we've had to find ways to win different. We've had to play different types of opponents. Playing Georgia is different than playing Kentucky. That's different than playing South Carolina. So it stretches you. And, there's so many good teams in the SEC. So for us, not only just recently, but I really think this conference has stretched us, and you really hope that you get to see that growth as you head into the NCAA tournament. But I couldn't be more proud of the way that we're going in. And it's not just about the winning, it's how you're playing. It's how your team's connected. It's how they want it for each other and they push each other and they still show up every day. And honestly, I feel the same way about our men's team. I think our men's team has played really well. I think they're really connected. I think they're playing hard. So the really unique thing here is that we really get to support each other, and the players really like each other and they care about each other and respect each other. And you can see that when they step on the floor.
I appreciate it, Jennie.
Thanks, Jesse.
John Hoover and then James Hale.
Hey, Jennie, congratulations. I'm looking at the roster from 2 years ago when you had kind of the big senior class with Maddie and Taylor and them, and you kind of had to rebuild that roster. You're now in year 2 of that roster rebuild, of the program continuing beyond those guys, right? Just wonder if you could comment on the consistency that you've built, the expectation that you've built, the fans coming in, like you mentioned, and kind of where the program is after 4 full years now.
Well, I feel like especially with our fans, they're just such a huge part of us. You know, I mean, they're really, I think in the first probably, I don't even want to say the first couple of years, but probably the first couple of years, I'm literally calling people by name, telling them to stand up at our games to cheer. And so now they kind of do it on their own sometimes. I still kind of assist. But I think there's just so much more attention on this program. And I think that is because obviously you want to win and you have to win for people to follow, but also our fans have also willed us to win. So I would say I'm proud of the foundation of the culture and the chemistry of the women in the locker room that I think that great class before passed on. And I think our seniors this year, they believe in something more than themselves. And when you do that, great things happen. I think, when you try to, be the best player, or you try to get your points or get your rebounds, it doesn't work. And I think our team knows that. But I also think our team has this really unique ability to be able to see really good things in other people. And then sometimes that affects us in a way that we start to overbelieve in everybody else. But that's hurt us just as much as if you thought the other way. And I think we've learned that this year. So we know we're really good when we know the person to our right and our left is really good. But that's why people stay here. That's why people like each other in the locker room. That's why they can hang out outside. They don't have to hang out all the time, but they have this deep, deep love and respect for each other when they step across the lines. But they also, I think we've had to navigate the moment, and we've fallen on our face a lot. And, whether it's you go to South Carolina, whether it's falling in the NCAA tournament, a few years ago when we did host against Notre Dame, some of our players are still there and getting really close in the last couple of years. And we don't fold. We just get up, we roll up our sleeves and we go. And I think, we've built a lot of resiliency skills in doing that. And I can't sing praises enough about the senior class that we have that has really kept everything together.
You also have done some work, obviously, the last couple of years with Peyton and Reagan in the transfer portal. And that's part of that culture in 2025, isn't it? Is you have to find those guys in the transfer portal and bring them in and make them part of your program.
Well, I think you're right in terms of, especially from a talent perspective. But, Reagan Beers came here because Skylar Van and Peyton Verhulst picked an apartment for her before she even moved here. So they were making her come because they wanted that. They wanted to challenge themselves. Sahara Williams said the other day on a radio interview that we had that she said the second that Reagan did come, she's like, it gave us this national attention because we were returning 90% and all of a sudden the expectation just shot up. And she's like, it made me look in the mirror and be like, oh my gosh, I have to get a lot better. When you have that and not, oh, I wish she didn't come because she's taken my time, you can see us elevating. So you can see our team elevating. And yes, there is part of the portal. And I don't think anybody can say that there is or there isn't, but you're still selective in the process. You're still going to find the right people that come into your program. So you don't just, it's not all transactional as much as people want to make it. It isn't. It's still transformational. It's still, they got to come and they got to feel good. They got to have their friends. They still want to play at a certain level. They have to respect each other or it doesn't work. And how many examples can you find that that's the case? So we are still very selective and our players have a lot of say in what's going on.
Thanks, Jennie.
Thank you.
Go to James Hale. We got time for a few more. Just use the
Sorry.
hand raise function.
My answers are too long. I'm sorry.
No, Jen, you're great. Jim, it seems like it's been a month since we've seen you play. It's been a long time. You talked a little bit about what you guys did last week. I'm curious about the schedule this week. I think I'm always fascinated about the process sometimes. So can you talk about your process getting your team ready for the opening round game on Saturday, which is still a week away?
Yeah. And we don't have all of those details finalized. So we'll play on Saturday. We don't know what time yet either. So when we figure that out, that kind of helps you. So you'll for sure practice probably, Thursday and Friday for sure heading into that. You'll probably be off Wednesday and we'll go, hard tomorrow and Tuesday. So that's kind of what our thought is right now in terms of what our plan would be. But I know that coaches love practice. We love practice, and our players love games probably more than they love practice. So they are probably the most excited about games coming.
One more question, if you don't mind. I think college basketball is so much better in the women's game. And I think we see that. I've watched a lot of women's basketball. Fans are going to get a chance to see some great talent in this regional. I hope it grows the game in this state, because not only is your team really good, but you're going to see some great talent on some of these other teams. Don't you agree? I mean, this is a really good regional.
No question. Yeah, no, this is this regional is a national exposure regional. I mean, look at the teams that are coming into Norman, that have won their conference tournaments, or obviously have just coming off Final Four seasons. And then you look beyond, just the people that are in Norman, and it's incredible from a fan base perspective. So there's going to be a lot of eyes. And so I'm obviously really hopeful that a lot of our fans, even if you haven't come. We don't care. We don't care if this is the first time. We don't care if you've been here for however many years, come, because you'll still fall in love with this team, because they do all the right things for the right reasons.
Thanks, Jen. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Go to James Jackson and then back to Ryan Aber.
Coach, you mentioned it a little bit about Florida Gulf Coast and playing against them and how they love to shoot the three-point shot. Just in your past experience, what goes into defending a team like that loves to spread the floor out and shoot the deep ball?
I'm excited because I feel like we're guarding better this year than we did a year ago. And, I talk about this all the time. Life continues to give this team, to give us, me too, lessons, right? And you get these different experiences. So to be able to step into the tournament, as much as it's nice to play somebody that you haven't played, it's also nice to see how far you've come, and especially from a guarding standpoint. So I don't know enough yet how different they are, or, I haven't had a chance to watch anything or even look at a stat sheet, to be honest. But I'll have more of that information in the next couple of days. So I'm excited to watch us guard. I think the SEC, if they push you in anything, they're going to make you guard. And I'm excited to see us come off of this kind of a conference season and to be able to guard. I think, I'm sitting, obviously Skylar's in here, and just even her defense, I think I'm going to watch a film from a year ago and just realize how far she's actually come from a defensive perspective, because she's had to guard some really great players this year, especially guards. A year ago, she's guarding a lot of post players in the Big 12. And this year she had to guard a lot of guards. So I'm just really excited for us. I'm excited to have an opponent in practice. They're going to be excited about that. They're going to be excited to go back into scout. But this team has grown a lot defensively this season.
Thanks, Coach.
Take one last question from Ryan Aber.
Yeah, Jennie, wanted to follow up on something you said earlier. And I know, like you said, not looking past the first round in Florida Gulf Coast, but you mentioned playing Iowa and how maybe that's the perspective has changed a little bit since the first time that you faced him as a coach. What do you remember about those times early, and just how that's sort of evolved as you face that program more?
Yep. The first time we got beat by a lot. So, yep. No, I think you have a different respect for the game as you get older, and it's like when you're a freshman, you think, okay, every day doesn't matter. Game days matter more. When you're a senior, especially our fifth year seniors, they're like, no, actually practice matters more. Right. And so you start to understand what matters the most. And I think you also start to understand how great people are in this business, and you can like and respect people, and you can still be competitive when you step across the lines, and that's okay. And so that is something that I had to learn a lot, because you want to win those games and you want to prove yourself. And it really has nothing to do with me, and it has nothing to do with proving anything. It has to do with you stepping across the lines with your team, and you give everything that you have, and then you let the scoreboard take care of itself. So when I learned that lesson, we got a lot more, we had a lot more success than we did when it was a little too personal.
Hey, I really appreciate it, Jenny.
Sorry,
Good
that
luck.
might have been not a fancy answer, but that's
No, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
it's
It's true though. Yeah,
how your perspective changes as you get older.
it does. Yep. Let's just not talk about how old I am. We don't need to talk about what year I graduated. We don't need to we can leave all those details out. You can tell everyone I was better than Caitlin Clark. Okay.
Okay, that's the headline tomorrow.
All right. I think
Thanks,
Scott's up.
thanks, guys.
Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate
Thanks,
Thank
Jenny.
you. Thank
Thanks,
you. Thank
Jenny.
you. Boomer. You're up. All right.